Let's get started. Okay, welcome everyone to the Flyte Contributors Meetup. Today is May 11th, and well, happy to be your host. A couple of reminders: this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to Flyte's YouTube channel. And every communication channel for this project, it falls under the Linux Foundation Code of Conduct, which includes several procedures to make you feel safe, hopefully. And prevent any kind of harassment or anything like that. Okay, so welcome, and glad to see you all here, like every 2 weeks, among the wave of open source LLM, like one every week. It's glad to see you all here, still paying attention. I guess as the say goes, attention is all you need. Okay, stop. I need to stop. Okay, there you go. So I will share a link to the agenda here, asking you to consider adding yourself to attend this list right here, including your affiliation will be great. Okay, anyone joining for the first time? Let me see. No, I don't think so. Cool. Great. Next one. Let's get to it. The review outstanding RFCs. So the first one, the config override. I saw something in the agenda regarding this RFC, has to do with naming. So I don't know if Byron or anyone else wants to touch on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
So I think everyone agreed on the current user interface, but we're just discussing about the naming and the implementation effort.
Yeah, the reason why I wrote that comment is because when we first discussed this idea, I wrote with runtime overrides, and Keithan said with override hooks, and we just stick with the first name. Maybe before we merge the RC, we should agree how it should be called. It's a minor thing though. It's
yeah. Also, I remember someone brought up the implementation things. Let me check.
Yeah, it was Bernard.
Yeah, I think that was probably me.
Oh, yeah. Let me see. Oh, Ben, I think Berhan brought up the implementation part, right? RFC. Yeah, Berhard, do you want to talk about the implementation? I saw you left a comment.
I've mostly we would attach things. So I think from the UX perspective, we are pretty aligned. And yeah, I'm no strong opinions there. I think someone proposed, I'm not sure who it was on the original thread, that we could do some matching so that we could make the whole system a bit more flexible in the background, so that we could, for example, also allow for, like in the future, saying we match this override to a bunch of node names, or we match to a bunch of whatever. Pretty much you could match it to anything. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Also, I want to discuss about the work distribution, because I think, I think I might need others' help to work on. I think it would be great if we can work on this together, maybe separate it to front end and back end part, and we can work on the PR together. Kevin, do you have any idea on this?
I think we should work on the backend part first.
Okay. You mean a profiler and ideal?
Yeah, and Flyte. Yeah.
And plugin?
Flyte.
Oh, Flyte. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we can start working together after everyone will agree with the name.
I'm interested in helping. I would need some guidance where to start, where to implement it. I don't think I know these parts of the code base. But in general, I'm interested in also taking part.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
same here. So also happy to help out. I think I've seen small bits, but especially on the propeller side, I don't know all the bits, I think.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other comment about this proposal?
Yeah, we just need the opinion of the naming. Maybe ask Ketan or someone.
I think.
Yeah, let's maybe wait for his comment.
Oh, hey, I think you're in.
I think Kevin will help drive this. So like we'll coordinate work between everyone, if that sounds okay with Byron and the 5
You mean Ketan or Kevin?
Kevin.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bernhard, you said you also wanted to help out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there's something you
I'm
think I
sure
can
it
help
is.
with,
Yeah,
feel free to
for
send
sure.
your stuff over.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, I need to ask a question. Is somebody sharing a screen? I think my Zoom is broken.
Yeah, someone is. I think David is sharing.
Okay, I'll re-enter. I can't click anything. I also can't click the chat. See you in a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, got it. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, the current status of this proposal is still in review, but I see you already mentioning implementation. So it doesn't have yet the approvals to be accepted or not even past the final comment period. So what's our idea with this proposal? Do we want to enter the final comment period? Kind of final stage for objection, etc. before being
Sorry, what are
accepted.
we talking about? That one? Oh.
Sorry, what was that?
Never mind. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, so in terms of status, I'm back. Welcome, Fabio. In terms of status, what do we want to do with this proposal? Move into final comment period?
Yeah, I think we can move to final comment period.
The temporary override one, yes.
Yeah. Do we need to even agree on the exact details of how it will be implemented in the backend? Like if nobody has any concerns that can be done and could cause problems, my question is, does it have to be included in the RFC, how exactly it will be done?
Yeah, well, that's ideal. I mean, in general, in terms of the RFC process, it's ideal, but not really required to be accepted. And the goal with the FCP or the final comment period is also to give some space, but a deadline to discuss or agree on the potential trade-offs during the implementation phase.
Okay.
And after that, we all agree. You can give your approvals and it will be accepted.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. All right, great. Anything else about this proposal? No. All right. Next up in review was a small thing on, but it could become huge. And on community groups, there was a really good question from Bernard on kind of the chicken and egg problem. Do we have enough contributors right now to have this kind of a structure? Probably the plain answer will be no, but the existence of community groups, working groups, special interest groups will create more opportunities, different opportunities to contribute. So it will kind of bring a new wave of contributions. And I think it's helpful. Probably it has a bit more structure than required now, but I didn't want to just add a structure just on demand. I wanted to propose a kind of a skeleton of a structure that will help both kind of groups. And the other question was if we were planning to form any group right away. I think we need to query or survey the community on this, or try to gauge the interest, specific interest in the community on this, because I could think of, for example, a documentation working group easily with a clear goal to a clear deliverable to, I don't know, improve certain parts of the docs, a specific part of the docs, not expecting that the community will actually write the entire thing, but we will help collaboratively write and review, and or at least provide a wish list or requirements. So yeah, I think we can start putting this proposed test on this kind
Can
of
we
website.
maybe count the config override as a sub project under this proposal?
Config override subproject.
Yeah.
Well, that should be part of SIG or working group. I don't know which
Working
one.
groups are for I read it again. It says that they have that they're short-lived and typically
Yeah.
have a very concrete deliverable attached to them, right? I raised my hand because I wanted to ask the same thing. The deliverable could be basically this RFC. That could be the first working group. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great because it has a clear goal and will kind of help us probably recruit more contributors or folks from the community to help, or at least to give their opinion. So yeah, it's a really good idea. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. So any other comment or any objection to move this to the final comment period?
I read it again. Sorry.
Just I think my only, no, it's not a concern, but I don't have it. I like formality and I like the process, just as I don't think this will reduce the velocity of contributions at all. So
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I lost you. So you think it will reduce the velocity?
no, I don't think it will.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the goal is to keep the velocity and also kind of scale out a bit, open more doors. So let's see how it goes. Thank you. Great. Awesome. Great. There's a proposal. I think it was the rain node. It's considered accepted right now. It has all the votes. So good. I think even the implementation is already on the way. Any comment about this proposal? Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a fair question for Keaton. Nope, no comment from this proposal. That's good. That's fine. Okay, before moving to the next item, I just saw a new RFC proposal popping up here. So that's very interesting. That's real-time RFC creation. So yeah, Niels, do you want to briefly introduce this RFC?
Yeah.
If you want to
this
share
is-
screen, it's fine.
Sure. Let me do that. Cool. So this RFC has been in the incubator for a while. I've kind of been cooking informally, just like making a work in progress, just to see if this actually would work. But the idea behind this RFC is articulated here. The punchline is that kind of like we have static workflows, we have dynamic workflows, sometimes called dynamic tasks. And we have this proposal is to add an eager workflow, quote unquote. And it's similar to dynamic workflows in that they are tasks kind of masquerading as workflows, whereas dynamic tasks compile an actual workflow under the hood at runtime using inputs potentially. these eager workflows are actually pretty much fully just tasks under the hood. And it's missing here, but if I jump to the PR, an actual working version of this example. So right, this makes it a little clearer. So you basically like make, oh, this is bad. This actually shouldn't be here. So you make essentially a remote object, and it's essentially Flyte remote, just like kicking off tasks on the fly. There are a couple of decisions here, but essentially in the context of an eager workflow, tasks, which are defined up here, just regular Flyte tasks, they're turned into async. They're turned into awaitables in Python world. And so like all the awaitable, the async syntax in Python applies here. And you can basically call tasks just like regular Python awaitables. And Flyte remote handles just kind of like kicking these off as you go. So the benefit of this is you can do everything that you can do in Python. You can try except. You can use async IO, constructs like gather. You can do if-else statements. It is basically Python, and under the hood, it uses like basically polling to wait for these things to finish, wait for tasks to finish before passing the data, the promises downstream. This is the same code example, and this is just a table, just kind of like trying to articulate the spectrum of, I guess, staticness and like different properties of these things. Here's an example of a workflow, or sorry, an eager workflow that works. Clearly, it's just a task. Nothing is, like Flyte doesn't understand how this is. And the only way we know things are happening is there's a Flyte deck that's automatically kind of collects tasks that as they're kicked off in order. And then it's outputted here as a Flyte deck. So, very, very hacky, but it works.
It's cool to see it work. I think we discussed this the first time like a year ago in the context of trying to build a hyperparameter optimizer.
Yep, that's right.
I have two questions. The first one, that is maybe a quick one. For now, it's in the deck, but would the plan be to eventually have it kind of maybe as a dropdown or so in the main view, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think how this is rendered in the UI is up for design, but something like this.
Okay. Yeah.
I briefly went down the rabbit hole of trying to construct the graph, but I quickly pulled out. Yeah, it was really not worth it. So I think temporal does something where it just does the list view, which is, kind of just like the, as subnodes, as nodes are being executed by the eager workflow, it will just kind of get appended to a list.
Well, the other question that I have is, I think, the more interesting one. When doing hyperparameter optimization, you might figure out early on that your task is not really going anywhere, that you might want to prune it. Do you think there will be a syntax to say, hey, we don't need to wait any longer, let's just kill this run?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm fairly, I don't know. My short answer is I don't know. I feel like, yeah, we should come up with like an example like this, because I think that will be a very common, or if not useful, example to have. So you're talking about a case where we might kick off a bunch of these, right? And then
it departs from the async IO and await syntax, right? That doesn't have it. But for example, if you look at what's a popular hyperparameter optimizer, Optuna, for example, right? they can have trials and then they monitor some metric, and when they notice early on that the loss is going the completely wrong direction, they don't train until completion, they just kill it. And I feel that's at least that would be the, if I wanted to build hyperparameter optimization on top of this would be the first feature I would want.
Yeah.
But why can't you kill it if these are our futures, right? I know the await futures don't have a cancel on them, but these are our futures. We can have a cancel method on them, right? As long as you're wanting to read partial data from them, as long as it's an entire task that you're canceling, I think that's completely doable. Yeah,
I'm not arguing it can't be done. I'm arguing that there needs to be a syntax that that lets users do that.
Yeah.
In the end, these are just executions started with Flyte remote, I guess, right? So.
Yep, exactly.
I like the idea of like actually having a cancel. So that this is one of the things that I was actually telling people, that we probably should not completely follow a single threaded model. We should actually follow a multi-threaded model for the coroutine, right? This is a coroutine. And by that, what I mean is the moment you actually have an async task being invoked, it is invoked in the backend. And now, even before calling an await, you could possibly do a .cancel or something.
It's not the eager workflow that would be canceled, right? It would be a task that is started in an eager workflow, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is, just to be clear, we're not in the training loop of a single model. We have like 1,000 candidates or something. Yes. In this context, are you typically evaluating them like 10 at a time or something, and then kind of like,
it depends.
This is like in the Bayesian optimization thing.
I think it depends on the hyperparameter optimization framework. I think in Optuna, they evaluate themselves actually by comparing themselves to, like, using the shared database to other runs and then deciding I should stop myself and start something else. But I think the 1TB I'm not 100% sure now, but I think you can run the 1TB hyperparameter optimizer yourself. And there they have the concept of just stopping runs when they know the metrics, right? And then they stop runs. I think they stop them by having the 1TB.log function call raise an exception the next time they log a metric. So that's their mechanism. But at my last company, we tried to build an Optuna hyperparameter optimizer task, and we ended up doing the same thing. We just had like a Python function task and that you could import, and that one ran Flyte remote. And then we had like multiple threads. Each thread monitored one task, and then when we noticed that the result wasn't good, then we stopped the execution and used that thread to start another trial with different parameters. So it depends a bit on the exact on the framework, but they all have like a notion of stopping something when you need to prune a run because it's not worth continuing because you know the results are not going to be good.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's worth collecting. Well, I noted this one down, but potentially other use cases where it's like, if we were to build this feature, I think it's worth investing in making sure these things work. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it's an amazing feature.
Yeah. So just to point people to a few open questions. These are kind of, I guess, related. So like, what does the UX look like for like at eager? Like if I want to do this, currently I have to had defined a remote object. The thing that's magically happening under here is I've hard coded at eager, like a specific secret group and key that is basically the Flyte propeller client secret. So that's like a backend design choice here of like, how do we expose that to make it super convenient such that you don't even need to do anything extra here. So that hasn't really, I didn't really think too hard about that just in this MVP. Yeah, that's basically these 2 points. Like, how do we, like, does an eager workflow, is that a special thing that Flyte just understands and injects a bunch of stuff under the hood, and then the eager workflow can like use those things. Yeah, so feedback would be awesome. Any questions, any additional use cases would be great.
Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you, Niels. Any comment about this proposal? Any other comment? No.
Sorry, just one more thing is I had trouble deciding, like there was one design of this, one version of this where if you just say async def on a task, it just automatically, now you're just invoking tasks within tasks, right? And there's just async tasks. I kind of opted for eager just to kind of isolate the feature at first, just to make it very clear that once you decorate this a function, then it also has to be async def. The little weird magic that happens here is like under the hood, this task is like patched and becomes an async entity, which is defined here. So it just like looks at the module, finds all tasks, wraps them in async entity, and then any task that's called within the function body is now an awaitable. So a lot of weird things happening, but this UX seems like it isolates the feature a little bit better than if I were to just async def this, like now everything is, now I can just call other async def tasks. So that's just another decision point.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Any comment? Observation, question? No? All right. Thanks so much, Niels. All right, and the next RFC, I think there's something here in the execution tax RFC. I don't know who added this note, but
I wrote this comment. So the RFC is in the kind of final approval phase right now, and there are two approaches lined out how users could assign labels or we call them tags via the CLI. And there's one option where they can basically assign any key value pair they want, and the other approach would be that there are special key value pairs like group, experiment, name. And there's in the PR, there's a discussion how exactly this would look like. And I feel before we merge this, we should agree on whether there will be special keywords. Like I'm against that, but up for discussion, of course, or whether people can just assign any key value pairs. So that's one question that I think we need to answer before we can merge this. And yeah, let's do this one first. The question basically is, should a tag that the user assigns just be any key value pair they want? Or do we do like special tags like group, experiment, name that have a special meaning?
To me, it's not clear where the advantage of restricting this to specific key value pairs is. I envision Flyte. I know your particular use case is typically for model training, things like that, but people do use it for ETL, where maybe experiment doesn't make any sense in that use case. And there's a lot of different use cases. So in my 2 cents, I don't see a clear advantage of restricting it.
Yeah, I agree. That is also what I wrote in the PR. So that's why I proposed that we, what I wrote in the PR, I'm interested in your feedback, is that basically tags can be any key value pair, and that execution name is not a label in the pod, but actually has influence on the metadata.name field of the pod. We actually do that already because Flyte Remote allows you to customize the execution name. And part of the discussion in the PR is whether whether things are mutable, but then of course the execution ID can't be mutable. And if we say there is basically a tag can be any key value pair and execution name is not a tag, then I think this discussion is basically answered.
Just want to +1 the arbitrary key value pairs. I think it'll be up to users or DSLs on top of Flyte to like have opinions about that.
Yes, same here. I think I wrote that today. Yeah.
Cool. And the other thing that is not 100% clear to me yet is when I say pyflyte run -- tag foo bar, then according to the IRC right now, I would have a label foo bar on the pod. And we would also, I guess, persist them in the database. And I might also want to add a tag to the execution after it's already finished. So let's say the pod is already gone because the node shut down. Then I can click in the UI and also add a tag. Would it then be saved in the same place in the database? Like, do we treat them the same? Where do we store like longer text that people might want to assign to an execution? There was one other discussion today in the discussion section where somebody asked that they want to be able to like write the text for like a summary for an execution, for example, telling colleagues why it crashed. Like, do we treat it this the same way, or is there something different?
It sounds like something different, right?
I would agree, yeah.
Because the label is to identify that description is a description.
I agree, it's something different, yeah. But I think it needs to be clarified in the RC.
Right. Thank you, Fabio. Any other comment about these questions? Nope. Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Fabio. All right, Igor, now to check. So I think next up is the release planning. Is this something we are prepared to do here right now? I don't know, Niels or.
I think
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Eduardo's out right now, but I can give a quick update. So we are hoping to get 1.6 out as, I don't know what actually this means when you say release planning, but the release update is at least that we're trying to get 1.6 out as quickly as possible. And along with that, we will be pushing out 1.5.1 as well. 1.5.1 is a patch release that should not affect anyone here, I don't believe. But basically it is a small patch to handle a corner case in extremely old deployments of Flyte. And there's a detailed release note in that patch release. But yeah, we're just waiting on that, and then 1.6 should quickly follow. Yeah,
yeah, another thing just to add here is Eduardo and I just still need to move this stuff over. I don't know if people have access to this Google spreadsheet. Maybe David, if you can visit that link. It is just like a scratchpad planning spreadsheet that, to the best of our knowledge, like tracking all the work that we sort of wanted to do 1.6.0 and beyond. So sorry, 1.7.0 and beyond. So some of these probably won't, so I guess the array node will probably be 1.8.0, something like that. But moving forward, we're gonna essentially do this exercise kind of Union AI among the Union AI team, but the idea is we then move this over to a Flyte issue that will just be like titled something like release 1.7.0. And then folks in the community, including this group, can provide feedback. We can update things. So yeah, just I think I'll be out of office for the next 2 weeks, but yeah, I'll work with Eduardo to like get that kind of like planning issue out, and so we'll plan to do this moving forward, so that we're a little bit more transparent, and the items and commitments we set out to do for each release is a little bit more accessible.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Neil. So yeah, keep an eye out on the issue, and hopefully get involved with the planning.
And let's share the Google Sheet, the planning. The
Yeah,
one-
yeah. So I'll if you request, can you request access? I can do that real quick. I think I'm the doc owner. But as I said, this will also be an issue. So okay, cool. I'll just share it with everyone here.
Just real quick, is there anything that stands out to anyone else not at Union, like that, like you have a strong opinion on or you want to help with?
What does multi-GPU
the-
support?
The notifications I think would be really nice. Like I think I saw it somewhere.
I think maybe I can help on the pod template part. The documentation that Ed was assigned to, because I implement the front end part. Maybe I can help. The row 7.
I know Eduardo's got a PR out for that we're just iterating on right now. So
Okay. Oh, sounds good. Then maybe I don't need to. Okay.
Yeah, I said before about the got my brain. Sorry. Okay, my brain starts sleeping. The one that from you, Byron. I want to help on that. Help for that.
Which one?
The overrides one.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can cooperate on this one. This is a big one, I guess.
Yes. Multi-GPU support. Can somebody say a sentence about what this means, please?
Yeah, so that is it's going to be multi-part. I think actually I'm not owning, or maybe I'll own it. It's investigating primarily from the base level, so GKE and EKS, how the NVIDIA GPU daemon set interacts with Kubernetes. And then from there, so supporting both like different types. So like if you have different node groups of B100s and A100s, and then also thinking about fractional GPUs. So everything from how those are exposed by the NVIDIA drivers to the Kubernetes layer, all the way up to how that should be exposed to the user in terms of resource requests. And in this effort, we may think about other things like shared memory, maybe as well.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we do that
basically,
with pod templates currently. All of what you said we do with pod templates.
Oh yeah, everything everything is doable currently in pod templates, but is going to be like kind of pulling that, not pulling, but like exposing it at a higher level, basically higher abstraction.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think we plan to like discuss these items right now, but this is awesome.
Great. Thank you all. All right. Finally, a couple of new ideas in the incubator. I think I saw a new one. Yeah, there are a couple of ones. So should we start with this one? As someone put it there. Yeah, I reached out to Tim, the author. He wasn't able to attend. But yeah, feel free to read out the idea. I think it's interesting, and you can kind of vote here or write comments.
Yeah, maybe I start because actually this week we looked into Slack integrations and we did it with OneDB now. Because sending in, like you need an email client currently, either on AWS or SendGrid or something, and it would be really nice if there was just a native Slack integration that supports webhook or the app, the Slack app. So literally this week we looked for the same thing and then did it with OneDB. So I think this would be really valuable.
Same for us. So we, especially company politics, and then we had a SendGrid account, but now we don't, and there's just yeah. We're also defaulting to.
I have a question. Is this useful, like, without like a framework for establishing like a trigger and all that kind of thing, or is that, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's already existing in Flyte?
So you're referring to the part here where they say that we could inspire, take inspiration from Argo CD, how they do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, in other words, in general, in notifications, right? It's like, okay, but when are you going to get it? Like, how are you going to say when you get it, and how do you, like, you don't want flapping notifications like firing constantly, and like, so there's like machinery or like what triggers it, how much time before you send another one, that kind of thing.
So currently you can already configure that in Flyte, right? There is a Slack notification class, which under the hood sends an email, but there is, like, user facing, there's a Slack notification class. And I think you can say which phase to send these notifications on. And since you configure these in the launch plan, you do it very fine grained for every workflow or launch plan. Here, I think in the RC, Tim proposed that this might be configured on the platform side for specific projects, right? Which would be cool, but if there was just like the current user-facing API in Flyte, but I could just attach it to like a Slack webhook, I would be perfectly fine. I don't need I wouldn't need anything else. This would solve my problem. So this would be like bonus for me here, what he writes.
Okay.
Great. Any other comment? Yeah, just a reminder that the RFC incubator is, you won't find fully fledged proposals here, just ideas, and he's trying to kind of gauge the audience or the interest. So feel free to add your comments there. It would be great for the author to know the feedback, to get the feedback. And if the steering committee and the maintainers agree, we can work with Tim to actually craft an RFC and start the process from there. Great. And the next one was login links configuration, an idea to improve it.
So that one's from me. So maybe I describe what I tried to do this week and what idea I had. So currently we link to Stackdriver logs, and we want to be able to also log a link to OneDB. We do that with the DAG. So the DAG after an execution contains the link to OneDB. The thing we don't like about that is that the link would only appear after the execution, while we would want to track the loss curve. So while the task is still running, we need to manually navigate there. So that's not perfect. And I was asked a bunch of times in the last weeks, people told me, hey, my training is hanging. Why is it hanging? And then turned out the training wasn't hanging. It never started because they requested resources that weren't available or just couldn't be provisioned in the cluster. And this week I tried to add, there's this template, you can give like arbitrarily named templates now. And I tried linking to the GCP console, which is just an overview page that gives you the information that you would get on kubectl describe, basically. So you see the events on the pods and you see like some other stats. And my hope was that people can click on this link and then see the message like red exclamation mark, not triggered, scale up, cannot be scheduled. And they figure out, oh, okay, I requested something that the cluster cannot provide. My pod never actually started. The thing why that link, like adding that link was perfect, like worked. The reason why it isn't useful is because this link is only appearing when the pod is running. I would have needed this link to be there, to be shown when the pod has been created, but not necessarily running. So it's not something I absolutely need, but I wanted to gauge the interest from other people. I think I could have built what I wanted to build if I had the option to say the template that I add here, which links to the Google Cloud Console Kubernetes engine section to this specific pod, show it when the pod is created, don't wait for it to be running. If this option had existed, then our engineers, they could click on it, they see a red exclamation mark, yeah, cannot be scheduled, not triggered, scale up. And then they wouldn't ask me anymore why the training doesn't start. It's like I just documented how they find the section now. But if we could configure these things more and also had more information available, which is the second point, like if for templating we had the information of which Flyte version is this, with which execution ID is this, then we could also provide the link to 1DB there. Because we basically can search for, we set a tag in the run to, like we set the execution ID as a tag, and then you can, we can come up with the URL that brings us to the right 1DB task. And then we could basically more links there that are shown also before the task is actually running that give more information to people. It's a nice to have, like we live without it and it's fine. But I think I could build something useful if I had more information there to template and if I could show it before the pod is running.
This is great. I've been doing a lot of fine tuning stuff internally and LLM fine tuning. And yeah, it's like I bind the execution ID to 1DB
Yes,
run name. And it's like just a lot of copy pasting and just refreshing pages on 1DB side. So it would be awesome to, like, this is the exact use case that would solve this, or exact solution that would solve this problem.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Fabio, for taking the time. Any other comment? Okay, yeah. Please also keep the comments right there in the discussion. It'd be great. Remember again that the main question to solve in the incubator is, do you all think this idea is a good fit for an RFC? And if it is, we can help to actually go through the RFC process. But yeah, thank you. All right. Finally, yeah, I think that's it in terms of the agenda. Is there anything else someone would like to discuss here? Any question?
So just click, just going back to the log links RFC proposal. Fabio, did you have, like, is there a story here for like an end user customization of, like, in the Flyte SDK, being able to say for some future service, right? Like that doesn't exist yet. Like I want a link that I know based on some Flyte variables, I want to generate a link for and render it on the UI. Is that, because I just based on David's last question, right, is like, I feel like this would constitute an RFC if it kind of required the changes in multiple places. Here, not sure what the criteria is specifically, but like if there was a user facing, like a task author facing way of expressing this.
I mean,
yeah, did you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, so the way I wrote it right now, I saw myself as the user, as a platform engineer. And I would have, like, this week tried to configure this basically in the Helm values file. But what you're saying right now is also that the user of the platform could say, hey, I generated this link now. I want to have this displayed in the UI from now on. And yeah, I do see. So currently, what our ML engineers do, they log to ClearML, not 1TB. They log that using logging.info, and they put like a bunch of like they write like a sentence before that they then search for in the logs. They copy it from there, paste it into the browser, and then go there. So they really need to go to the stack driver logs, extend the time range to find this thing, or search for the string that they know, manually copy. If they had a way to say flytekit.currentcontext.dump link, whatever, that would be really nice.
Cool. Yeah.
which also would solve the problem that, of course, on the platform side, I can configure a link to a 1TB execution, but that then relies on the user creating the run and assigning the right tags, right? If they don't do that, this link points nowhere. It would be way nicer for 1TB if the user from the Flyte, from the Python side of things could create a link. For the GCP console, I think it's something that should be configured on the platform side, but I do see value in being able to do that from Python. I'm happy to write an RC and put this in this idea.
Cool.
That's great. Thank you, Fabio. All right. Is there anything else? Share, discuss. Okay, so with that, thank you for your attendance today. There was a question from Byron on adding a feature integrating with Azure AD out.
Yeah, I added that to the roadmap already. So, and sorry, Byron, that's something you can work on for like 1.7.0.
Sorry, yeah, so I already submit all the PRs. They're
Nice. Okay, amazing. Cool.
Awesome. Okay, thank you all for your attendance today and hope to see you next one. It was great to see you.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Good evening.
Good day.